grounds that the Justice Department has received a criminal referral from the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, in connection to her bombshell allegations about the 2016 Russia hoax. She said members of the Obama administration, quote, manufactured and politicized intelligence to frame President Trump as a Russian asset. Let's bring in former U.S. Attorney for the state of Utah and former federal prosecutor Brett Tolman. Brett, I want to in addition to welcoming you to the program, and thank you for taking the time, read this from Tulsi Gabbard. This came out on Friday. She said, quote, over 100 documents that we released on Friday really detail and provide evidence of how this treasonous conspiracy was directed by President Obama just weeks before he was due to leave office after President Trump had already gotten elected. This is not a Democrat or Republican issue. This is an issue that is so serious it should concern every single American because it has to do with the integrity of our democratic republic. I wanted to ask you for your thoughts on what she said and the evidence she says she has.
Well, John, thanks for having me on. It is imperative right now that, politics is set aside. This is a pivotal moment. I have absolute trust in Tulsi Gabbard, in John Ratcliffe, former U.S. attorney as well, in their ability to assess the importance of these documents. I've looked at as much as I can, and I can tell you this is singular in our history as a country. The level of conspiracy that went on, and the thing I take from this is there's a reason why the fight was so hard against Donald Trump being elected a second term. He was going to come in with a lot more awareness, and he was going to come in with an ability to put people in that he knew could be honest in the positions, and he had a mandate to reveal what the government has been up to. And I think that scared people to the point they were willing to play dirty when it came to trying to oppose him to be president.
I think in many ways, President Trump is able to do more in a non-consecutive term than he would have been able to do in a consecutive term. First 18 months of his second term would have been taken up with the recovery from COVID. He was still under siege from everything that had happened before. And while he was under siege from all of these myriad lawsuits that were brought against him, that he fought to some degree successfully in court, he had that opportunity to be able to regroup in those 4 years and come out and say, this is really the way that I want to do things. So we know to some degree the how of how all of this happened. As to the why, here's what Tulsi Gabbard said. Listen.
We had a sitting president of the United States and his cabinet and leadership team, quite frankly, who were not happy with the fact that President Trump had won the election. And so they decided that they would do everything possible to try to undermine his ability to do what voters tasked President Trump to do.
Everybody knows that it's just typical in politics to try to undermine the other person. But to go to what is alleged here, these alleged links, after somebody has been duly elected, where does that fall in legal territory?
Well, I think about the fact that in our lifetime, John, there has only been one president who didn't leave Washington, D.C. after they were done serving their 8 years, and that was President Obama. He stayed there, and then his people were ready, and they put Joe Biden in knowing that they could accomplish what they wanted, which was to keep quiet some of the things that they had done while in power. When Joe Biden came in, it was easy to see that they put in Obama's people into key positions in order to continue the ability to cover what Obama had done. I think that's now. We are much more aware. I think President Trump came in, a bit naive the first term, just wanting to make America better than it had been. I think he came in very differently this time around. And this referral is serious, and the Department of Justice is going to have to pick now who among them is going to lead the investigation and the prosecution of those that were involved in this conspiracy.
So if you were the Attorney General, how would you pursue it? Would you appoint a special prosecutor? Would you bring back Durham and say, here's 100 more pages of stuff that you might not have had during your initial investigation? What would you do?
I I would appoint someone else. I don't know that you necessarily have to have a special prosecutor. There are terrific U.S. attorneys out there right now that could take this and run with it. You could also you could task Ed Martin, for example, to lead this investigation and include a crew of investigators that Kash Patel handpicks that we know are honest and will work hard and will deliver, transparency and accountability, which the public demands and deserves.
All right. We'll see where it goes. It's in its infancy, but I think it's probably got a lot of legs. Brett, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, John.